Hey, this is Peter Ratson, and I want to talk to you today about the SAT. This is an exam that kids have to take to get into college. It causes a lot of concern, a lot of anxiety. I remember studying for the SAT. I remember hating every minute of it, hating taking the exam, the whole process. But it's what you got to do to get into college. Now, what's happening in the news is that scores in Florida went up, and that's considered newsworthy because scores went up 1 point in both the critical reading and the math sections. So therefore, there was a headline about the SAT scores, about Florida scores going up. But they only went up 1 point, and they're below the national average. Now, I don't want to knock on Florida students too much, but here's the reality. If you look at Florida State's website, and you look at their admissions page, you'll see that you need at least a 500 on both the critical reading and math sections to get into Florida State University, or to be considered for admission into that school. And on average, most kids in Florida are just below at 497 and 498 on the critical reading and math sections. So those kids are not, on average, Florida kids are not making the grade to get into Florida State University. Number two is the number of students that are actually sitting for the exam. Statewide, there was a 1,000 student increase in those kids who actually sat for the exam, and state officials consider that to be a good thing because it means that more Florida students are challenging themselves and so on and so forth. And you know, if more Florida students do want to go on to college, that is considered a good thing. However, you know, there's a record number of students graduating from high school in Florida, so in turn you would figure that there are more students sitting for the exam. In Miami-Dade and Broward counties, there were actually fewer students that sat for the exam by about 2,600, and county officials are looking into that. Another thing, and this is really the biggest concern in the data, is that if your income is below $20,000, okay, if your income is below $20,000 or it's greater than $200,000, what they're noticing in the data is a 340 to 380 point difference. 340 to 380 points. That is a big difference. And the reason for this is that those kids that are in the upper income bracket have access to better resources and can get better SAT prep, whereas those kids in the lower bracket don't have access to the same SAT prep. That's certainly one of the reasons why there's a big difference. That's a huge difference that can result in you getting admitted to a lesser school or even a community college versus going to an elite university. 380 points is a huge number. So here's the point. You can get SAT prep and you don't have to spend a ton of money to do it. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a tutor or to enter a class to increase your score by 200 or 300 points. You can do it in a much more affordable way in the privacy of your home with really cool technology that's available to you right on your computer. If you click on the link below, we'll take you to a site where you can get further information on how to improve your SAT scores, tips on how to take the exam, SAT myths that are revealed, as well as some information on how to get really good SAT prep at a bargain. The other thing to think about with SAT is that not only do you need to take it to get into college, but the better you do, the better schools you're going to get into, and those better schools, it so happens, have more financial aid. So how you do on the SAT can have an impact on how much financial aid you get. So go ahead and click on the link, take the exam, study first, get into college, get an education, and be happy.